Oh, hang on. I think I need to accept it actually. No, we don't. Kia ora.
Kia
Welcome
ora.
back to Navigating Perspectives with Kayla from the Womb Doula and me, Jazzy, Navigating Native. And this is our third session, our third call, our third podcast, our third recording. And excited to be here today and excited to kōrero into this particular topic today, which what we are talking about today is creating awareness of our innate way of living, and which and what we're actually talking about and what that means is in line with our Infradian cycle. And that's a cycle specific to women, specific to menstrual cycle, and all things so that relate specifically to period, bleeding. You know, some of the terms that you may have heard around this is your mate, your friend, womb cleansing. Like, what are some other terminologies, Kayla?
Ikura. Yeah, I think you've said them all.
Yeah, what's another? Waifiro. One that you talked about before was it's been referred to as my bitch, and you actually want to talk about that too at some stage.
Yes.
So it's not, it's like terrible. So yeah, let's come back to that and kōrero about that. But yeah, so that is the intention of our kōrero today, is to share more around that and create awareness. Really, that's the intention of our kōrero, is to talk through those different perspectives about our innate wisdom and looking at our Infradian cycle, our Infradian rhythm, and what that means for us as women, as wahine, and also for our tāne too, for understanding in that space.
Yes.
And so really, when I say us talking about it, Kayla's going to be talking about it because she's the expert in this space, and I guess we're going to be hearing a lot of her wisdom today. And I'm really happy that we're doing this kōrero because I personally feel that cycle awareness, conscious menstruality is such an important element for us to have in our lives, for us as individuals, for us as leaders in our families and our whānau, and also for our partners, husbands, spouses, wives, to be aware of what this is and what it means for us, and and actually how flippant amazing it is, to be honest. And we're going to break down some of those.
It's going to break it down for you.
Yeah, and also just some of those like really crappy beliefs and you know, things conditionings we've had around periods and cycles and those sorts of things throughout our lives, and like, yeah, how that is so far from the truth. Anyway, I just want to introduce this, my beautiful and wise friend, Kayla, the Womb Doula. She is on Instagram as the Womb Doula. On Spotify and Apple Podcasts, she's Yoniverse by Navi Goddess, and her kaupapa, or her specialty, her expertism, is that even a word? I don't know, it is today. Is all around conscious menstruality and the inner season. So understanding our cycle, understanding our Ikura, what that actually is, womb reclamation, and that entire whare tangata space. So I'm really, really excited to have you here. Have you here? You're here anyway, because like we're doing this kōrero together. But have you here talking about this in your space of in the mahi that lights your soul up, in the contribution that you make to conscious awareness and all those gifts that you are bringing into this world. I'm so happy that people can hear, listen, feel all the senses about it in this particular kōrero.
Yeah.
And Kayla and I have been friends for, I don't know, lifetimes, but like over a year now, I think it's been, but like
Yeah.
I feel like
Probably
obviously
like 18 months or something.
yeah, nearly 2
Mm.
yeah, I feel like I've known you for such a long time, and you came into my awareness because for me, I was in a place in my life where I was like wanting to understand more about myself because, you know, as you know, I'm all about self-awareness and learning more, knowing more, because I just feel the more we know about ourselves, the better we are as humans and people being souls.
Mm.
And I really wanted to delve into the physical aspects of my life, like particularly cycle, because I'd been plagued by heavy cycles, heavy bleeding. I've only ever been naturally pregnant one time in my life, and yeah, and had struggled with fertility, as well as balance, I guess, in my life. So I guess I was seeking that, and not very actively, but obviously my soul was seeking it out. And then I came across you, and we started to chat online about different things because you were sharing information about that, and I was learning a lot. You were giving a lot, and you still give away a lot of free value. And and then we connected that way. And then I got one of your planners, one of your wellness planners, actually, when I was down in Queenstown. I remember we had the conversation, and I ordered one. And great, so it's like, we put it in front of my face, you can see. Yeah, and this is I think my 6th one, because it's a 6-monthly planner. So yeah, and anyway, it started there. That's where our journey together started. So I feel like I have talked quite a lot, but I needed to introduce you and our connection and how that all worked. So I think a really cool place to start for with you would be to, I guess, maybe can you start with your name and like what is the womb, who is the womb doula, and maybe what bit about the womb, and also what's a doula, because I don't think everybody knows what a doula is, and it's such a beautiful craft, actually. So
Yes.
right up to you, sis.
Kia ora. Thank you. I guess where I'll start is I was formerly Navy Goddess, and I'll just talk a little bit about that. So for me, I've had these names for myself, or for like a higher not an entity, but like, well, it kind of is, but in a like positive way, that I've sort of downloaded type thing that will allow me to step into this person that I'm being asked and called to step into. So initially it started out with the pure you, and then I was guided through the healing for that, and that was very dark. And then I was guided into Navi Goddess, which is that's kind of how we like really gelled, because both our handles are like around navigation and all that symbolism and stuff like that. So yeah, Navi Goddess was all about stepping into this new version of who I was being called to step into, because my background is like quite dark, and those are some things that I had to work through to get to even this point. But yeah, so Navi Goddess was all about following my true north, which is my soul path, and I'm now on that path. And then last year, before I got hapu, which is a whole other fucking story, I was sitting in, I can't remember what it was. I think I was sitting in meditation, or just I had created some safe space for myself, and I got this word, or this name, the Womb Doula. And yeah, so the Womb Doula is, I'm gonna read it from here, because my my brain is like baby brain right now. So this is the information that I downloaded from the stars, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's care for your inner cosmos or your inner compass or your landscape, your inner environment. So if we refer to our womb as te whare tangata, what is happening here?
Say it out loud.
Yeah, if we refer to our womb as te whare tangata, which is the house of humanity, and if we think about the womb as the inner compass, so if you think about it as like a galaxy of creation that you have inside your puku, then that is, where past, present, and future is held. So if the womb is a space within your body that houses your own inner cosmos or your compass, which is navigation, and is the totality of all existence, so your past, even past lives, your present in the present moment, excuse me, and the future. So who you've been, who you are, and who you're here to be. If it is a space where life is created and is a second heart, and the yoni is connected to the heart space, to the heart center. Then if a doula is a care provider for a woman's physical, emotional well-being on the birth continuum, and if I bring that all together, that's sort of the womb doula. So, if birth is not just about the birthing of a baby, but the birth, death, rebirth cycle of the mother on that continuum, or of a woman, through evolution and through the ages and phases of our lives. So that means menak, our menstrual cycle years, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So that also. Then a womb doula supports the woman or the bleeding person at every phase of her life on every level. And yeah. And that's her emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and soul level. And then her environment that includes both inner and outer landscapes, so of the community, the whānau, business, experiences. And then so what I do is help with prevention and preparation, and education. Yeah.
Oh my God. So I'm just just jotting down some notes. That is like just that's huge. Like that is like essentially like what you are is like a support, a provider, a mentor, a guide for women for every stage in their life, because our womb is that inner compass, in a navigation tool that is the that is the key element that is what takes us through that Infradian cycle, really, isn't it? Because we go through those different seasons, those different phases, those different ages, within our lives. And I guess our womb is the space from which we actually where those key changes take effect, I suppose, and contain that power and that expertise and that knowledge and that wisdom. Everything comes back to that space, doesn't it, for women?
Yep.
And that's a big task, that's a big job, it's a big mahi. That's awesome. That's
Yes, it is. That's why, yeah, I had a lot of resistance around it too. Yeah. Obviously, because I was coughing. Because like I've got this written down, but I've only just like actually stepped into that speaking it out loud.
Well, that's interesting, and also because you're bringing light to all of that too, which for and we're going to talk about that element of it too for
hysteria.
And also like cycle and period and bleeding, and the beliefs and the conditioning that we've had as a society around what that means for women and men. And how negatively impactful those beliefs and that programming has been around it. So even helping to break the cycle around that sort of stuff is prevalent, I'd imagine. Well, it is, like in the mahi that you're doing, because you're actually bringing women's and people's awareness back to the truth of what's within like our womb or our cycles and our seasons, the truth, and also the power. Because literally, and we've talked about this before, like the true power within the womb is actually creation. And we do flesh it right back to humanity and what we're here to do. We're here to do specific mahi. Yep, we've all got purpose here. This is why we came here. But the actual physical response, I guess, is reproduction, is like to create. So one level, which is it is about birth, like creating life, like in our womb is the place where that is created. Obviously we need another part to create that life, but that is the space that holds the life and creates it, even the eggs that are held there. And then also from that space, we can also create, like we talked about before, like life, we evolve, we grow, life, death, rebirth, but also we can create from that space too, like, because it's connected into our heart, it's connected in through all of our energy centers actually. But the power that sits within the womb to actually create all sorts of things, and we can draw from that energy.
Like
every day. Every day, every moment of every day. And bringing women's awareness back into that space is empowering, because it actually reminds women like what they're actually capable of, and actually how beautiful the cycles are and seasons are within our lives, and that they're not dark or horrible or evil. There's elements of that are, yes, but overarching the purpose, the purpose of those specific seasons in our lives are really intentional, and our body is so wise that if we can like lean into the the gifts of those seasons and what they're bringing to us, what our body's actually telling us, and we listen, like there's so much goodness and so much wealth for our health in that.
Yes, I love that. It's a way for us to really come home to ourselves, because we live in a society that exists in externalization, and we can see that throughout everything. It's right there. And we can see that in the ways in which we go to ask people, we think that we have to, what I'm trying to say is external validation, seeking that and thinking that everything is outside of ourselves when it's all within. But we've been extremely disconnected from ourselves. And I like to, when I'm sort of talking on a real surface level, so that people can understand, I'm talking as though the mind, the body, and the self is separate, because that's what people see it as.
Yeah.
And really, all of that is all of those parts of ourselves are, they are severed because of the disconnection, and we don't relate to them being connected, even with the scientific stuff. Yeah. Yeah, because
And
when we externalize things, we put it's like we're not claiming it type thing. We're putting it out here, out of our reach.
Yes. Yeah. And that, yes. And that, for me, I'm just relating that to, I guess, my own experience, and the truth of that is, for many years I was disconnected from my body.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of women have the same journey, and I still have a big disconnection from body. And like, if we've experienced trauma, if we've had limiting thoughts, if we've had negative thoughts about ourselves, about our body in any way, shape, or form, it is a means of a way to disconnect us. And then it's, and then, like, because a lot of it for me was about seeking external validation. Like, am I beautiful enough? Am I skinny enough? Am I pretty enough? Is my hair long enough? All these things. So, it's like a disconnection away from yourself, and it's like you separate part of yourself out from yourself. And I'd never even heard of any of these concepts, like, until a few years ago. And it actually all makes sense, like when you delve into understanding more about yourself and have that awareness about yourself, and actually the disconnection away from yourself, and how it's actually quite disempowering. And so then, like, if I just bring it back to the cycle awareness, and what that actually does create for you, and what it's created for me is a reconnection back into myself, because I'm actually taking the time to be aware of what's actually happening within my body, and undertaking practices that inform better well-being for my body. If that makes sense. And
Absolutely.
I was going to say something else in that regard. Oh, and maybe if you can talk about too the Infradian Rhythm, which is what a lot of your work is based on too, and how, I guess, knowledge of that and coming into union or unison or understanding with that helps us to connect into our body. I mean, I just think even explaining that word or having an understanding of that word is going to be a lot for people, which is cool. Yeah. So Infradian Rhythm, let's talk about that.
So firstly, the way I see it is like the world that we live in is, we live, those cycles are day, night, wake, sleep, time, and all that kind of stuff. So in that regard, I think everyone can relate to the circadian rhythm or the wake-sleep cycle, or, you know, the day or the night and the day, that cycle, the 24-hour cycle. Interestingly, women have two internal clocks, so two internal rhythms. So we have the circadian and we have the infradian. So, and men just have the circadian rhythm, so the 24-hour. So that's really based on, you know, a linear timeline, which is masculine. Okay. So the infradian rhythm is the 28-day cycle, which is the rhythm of the menstrual cycle that contains within it the inner seasons, and it actually holds both the masculine and the feminine energy, so the yin and the yang within that circle or cycle. Yeah, that's basically what it is, and it's responsible for like these functions within our brain that, you know, it's connected to all of these hormones and the pineal gland and the hypothalamus, and all of these things need to be in alignment for healthy ovulation, for actually having our bleed, and there's so many factors within that too, that can stop that healthy cycle from flowing.
Yeah, and let's talk about like healthy ovulation and you know, like what that looks like, and also the seasons, like you talked about the seasons and that infradian rhythm. So firstly, let's take it back. So firstly, you talked about the infradian rhythm being the 28-day cycle, and the seasons that are contained within that 28-day cycle. Can you explain those cycles? Like, can you talk us through those cycles, of which I understand there are 4?
Yeah, so in regards to the seasons, they're the same as our seasons of nature. So winter is when we're bleeding. So if you think of winter, that's like, you know, you go into hibernation and things start to slow down and you want to rest more and sleep more and all that. And then after winter is spring, and then summer and autumn, and it goes like that in a healthy cycle. That's how it I'm like making this hand gesture for those of you who are listening and can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, cycle. In a healthy cycle, it is obviously like day 1 is when you bleed, and then that cycle goes throughout for hello.
Sorry.
That cycle goes for 28 to 30 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Some water. That's all coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, there's menstruation, and then you move through into the follicular phase, which is spring. Then you move through into ovulation, which is summer. Ovulation is, you know, high energy, connecting that to summer. It's really social. You have lots more energy in this season.
Yes, we do.
And then autumn.
Which makes sense. When you're ovulating, you've got so much energy, because I guess the sexual energy is high, because, you know, we're down to reproduce during summer, right? Whereas in winter, when you're actually bleeding, your like hibernation, like I just need a rest, you know, you just need to be still. It's a slower time, it's a slower energy. And yeah, the complete opposite to that is summer. When you're ovulating, your body, naturally your body's ovulating, so you're like, you know, innately or subconsciously seeking out a mate, you know, like that. Not that every single woman does this during this period, but this is what our bodies are built to do. Or we're also in a phase of our lives where we're wanting to create things. We might be making stuff, we might be writing stories, we could be speaking publicly, we could be going to a concert, like whatever. And yeah, this is really cool to, and another way to connect into body, because I've often done things in a winter season and I'm feeling like very resistant. Like if I've got a big a big event to go to, I'm often like, I just don't go. And then what I do is I push myself to go. Sometimes you've got to go to these things, right? I'm not just saying don't go to work, go on your period, or all these things, but what it just means is that because you have this knowledge, you're way more aware of what's actually happening physically with your body, so you can make better choices. So for example, you know, when I know I've got big pieces of mahi to do, or I've got to do a presentation, or I need to have really focused time, I'm not going to plan to do it at a time where I know that I'm going to be bleeding. That's also the beauty of your cycle, is, you know, when you're actually, it's not just this like, oh my God, I've got my period. Like, you know, you actually know ahead of time what's going on with yourself and your body, and you can be more, just more of an awareness, so you can have better, I'm sounding really worky now, have better outcomes. But like for yourself, you know, you can actually make better choices for yourself, I should say. Yeah, sorry, I fully just interjected there, but you were about to talk about, so we were talking about summer and then you were moving into autumn. These are all actually really beautiful seasons too, so I don't want to take away from that information, so you keep going.
No, that's all good. So we're in summer, the ovulatory phase, and then we come down into autumn, which is the premenstrual season, and it's really connected to, you know, like it holds such a negative energy there because of conditioning. And autumn is actually my favorite season to work in, and I've found so much growth and support through learning the gifts of this season. And allowing the other seasons to support me to stay grounded and connected to myself. For those of you who might at this point want some extra information about autumn, because each season is connected to an archetype, and I'm Māori. One thing that, just on a quick side note, one thing that cycle awareness and this wisdom has helped me to do is really reconnect to who I am, because I was so disconnected to my Māori tanga and all that kind of stuff. So that's one side of it, but I really resonate with and connect to archetypes. So I've spent the last 4 or 5 years deep in archetypal wisdom. And it just so happens that there are some archetypes that are connected to each season of our cycle. And Jazz knows more about the Atua Wahine who are connected to each season. So she can talk a bit more about that soon. But the autumn season is connected to the wild woman. And if you resonate with that, or if you're curious about that, there is an episode on my YouTube that talks about this, so go and have a look at that. But yeah, so that autumn is like it's a slowing down, and it's a time of preparation, of cleansing. And yeah, as I said, it's connected to the premenstrual phase of the cycle. And then we come back into winter. So there's a light and a shadow aspect. So the shadow, the shadow aspect of the cycle is autumn and winter, and then the light aspect is spring and summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that the variety, and yeah, there's so many, excuse me, so many teachings. You're coughing now, I am. So many teachings, learnings, and understandings about our bodies, and about our cycles from a range of perspectives. And I think the important thing is to have an awareness that there is that wisdom within our bodies and our cycles, and two, to delve into the areas and the perspectives that resonate for you and that align to you.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, for myself, like when I first learned about cycles, I learned about them from a beautiful wahine. She's got a Welsh background, and you know, obviously her perspectives and her understandings of cycle was based around where she learned from, which was from, you know, people from her land, which talked about the different cycles relating to like mother, maiden, crone. I can't remember one. And that's one specific belief system around it. And yeah, as wahine Māori, there are also you know, our ancestral beliefs and practices also based around cycle, Ikura, waifiro. And to be honest, I'm still learning about them, and my knowledge is very limited on those, you know, specific seasons. And one, like, resources that I have, you know, read and reread and continually immerse myself in are the, you know, the kōrero that Ngāhuia Murphy has written about our cycles, and what our practices are as a people, what her ancestors practiced, and it just such beautiful, rich knowledge. And those are also still things that I'm learning about. Another person that I also resonate and read a lot of her learnings and, you know, take those on is Ani Makaere, and Rose Pere. Like, there's just, you know, there's a wealth of information that is available to us if we seek it out and it resonates in with us. I feel like that's how we will gain the knowledge that is relevant to us, because that's what's also important. And I've also established this on my journey that, yeah, there's lots of beliefs and lots of systems out there and along the way, but you need to, for myself anyway, not you need to, but for me, I've had to, you know, I've experienced and heard and a lot of things, and I don't align to some things, and I align to others, and that's okay. Like, everybody has their own way of living and believing, so you just choose what resonates for you, is, I guess, the main part of that kōrero. And I think the season stuff is actually like, and I guess this is a learning for me, and this is how I remember and how I retain and how I align myself and my body and my energy into the different seasons, is I relate it back to what I understand. You know, for summer, you know, the atua is hene raumati. So I've always like seen raumati and hene raumati is like fun, summery, like, you know, light and just having a good time, free, you know, like this, I'm closing my eyes because this is how I visualize her. Obviously, like, in that season, that's how I'm going to feel and be, and that is actually how I feel and be. And I've got heaps of energy, and I just want to, like, I want to love and like have heaps of fun and just, yeah, chill also, but energy is high. And then when I think about the opposite season to that, it's like takurua, so winter, like hine takurua, who I see is very tau, very still, you know, just discerning, listening to body, and taking time to just be. So yeah, that's you know, that's just how I am, and that's how I align my practices based on my beliefs in the seasons. And I think there's so much knowledge, awareness, and wealth of connection in the seasons, and that's been a big learning for me coming into awareness of cycles and conscious menstruality, is actually understanding, one, what the cycles are, and two, how I am best placed to navigate myself through them, because I learn with every cycle, as you know, because I feel like I talk to you all the time about, oh my God, I'm having a sugar thing today. I'm just like, and it's, you know, like it's a constant evolution, and also an acceptance of yourself, and a letting go of how you think things need to be and should be.
Such an autumn thing.
Yeah, and see, and this is also where I'm at the moment, like, you know, and like maybe we can talk about this now, because Kayla and I was talking about this earlier. And see, my ego is going to kick in now and make me forget that conversation, because she actually said to me, because I was sharing with her about this limiting belief that I'm navigating at the moment around time. Like I'm not having enough time in my day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm no, I have enough time in my day, but how I'm spending that time is not, is in a way that isn't supportive. You see, I couldn't even call that word, and supportive of me and what I desire. Yes. So again, see, I can't bring the kōrero back in, because my ego is going, no, we don't want to talk about that, because I need to keep you. This is what our unconscious mind does too with limiting beliefs. When you try to talk about it and shine the light on it, well, this is what I do. It runs away, and like I can't remember what I was actually going to talk about or focus on. So
it's your inner critic coming in.
Yeah. It's like going like this, like wiping my mind, like, so I can't retain it and talk about it. But yeah, so what it is, I'm going to quickly say it so I don't forget it, is this time factor. And what I had shared with Kayla before this conversation is that what I've identified is that I am not creating enough time, or not creating time and space for me to do the things that I truly desire, that I love in my day. And this is based on an old belief, which has many layers, this not enoughness belief. And so what I'm doing during the day is filling my time doing other important things as well. Like these are, you know, mahi related, personal related. And that's okay, but I'm not allowing time, I'm not creating space and time for these other things that I like to do, which is reading books, going out into nature. Going out into nature, reading books, listening to podcasts, like things that really like fill me up and make me feel good. Those are the key things that I'm not creating space for, which is not healthy, you know, which is not good, because those things for me, they keep my cup full, and they keep me energized, and they keep me happy and safe and well. And so where did I go about this with you? Because the other thing that I'm also found myself not doing is also documenting in my planner, like what's happening within my cycle. And again, that's a really important element for me in my life. And and creating that space, creating that time has I can't even remember where now that like, out loud, but
well, I wanted to bring that up to you because it's such an autumn. You're in autumn, and it's such a, like, that information that you're getting about your own self is extremely powerful in this time, because autumn is connected to showing you what's not in alignment anymore. So if we think about the when we bleed, that's a time of releasing what no longer serves. So if we start to connect our belief or our knowing, our awareness to that innate power, then we can work on releasing that and we can work on getting to know that little flavor of our personality or of who we are that we want to let go of, and start to bring this is the conscious menstruality part to it, bring consciousness to that energy that's that's no longer in alignment and that's not working. So everything that is not working becomes extremely loud in the autumn season, which it has done for you for months and months and months. And so through practices like releasing and becoming very present and creating safe and sacred space for yourself during that autumn, you will be able to consciously connect to your menstruality, to your Ikura, to your blood, when you bleed. And you can actually do journaling prompts, which I have on my other page. So if you go to @navigoddess_, there's so much there's many highlights in there. So if you go to the just for anyone who's listening, sorry, if you go to my highlight section on that page under journal prompts, I think you'll find 2 prompts there. With this bleed, with this bleed, I am gratefully releasing. And then with this new cycle, I am welcoming in. So those 2 prompts are extremely powerful to practice.
I've just brought it up. I've
1
just
to
brought
5
it up.
days. Oh yeah.
Just pull it from your page. And so yeah, that is 2 of the prompts you've said for winter. For winter. And then how am I feeling energetically, emotionally, physically, mentally? How do I want to feel by the end of the cycle?
Yeah.
What do I want to experience during this cycle? Oh, that's actually super helpful. Yeah, you've got a highlight reel called journal prompts for each of the seasons, for winter and autumn, because those are the reflective seasons, right? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, sorry, carry on. This is great. Keep going, because I've got this recording to come back to.
Yeah, sorry if you can hear the dogs barking in the background, everyone.
Vehicles and people and like music.
Yeah, so actually relating our bleed or our womb cleanse or our period as part of this dying, this letting go of who we have been.
This is not the first time like we've had conversations about these deep reflections that I've had during autumn, but for me, like now, like literally in this moment, this is very landing for me. Like I'm like at another level now, to take it back to this belief has come up now for me to put the light on it, to be really aware that my energy is not being directed in ways and spaces that is supportive of me, and that is now what I choose for myself. And then like as this as my bleed comes, and when it does come, that I can like focus on releasing that old belief. And I'm saying that on purpose because that's not a current belief of mine. Like actually see that, feel that, everything, like releasing with my next cycle, right?
And
that's
then
very conscious. And then like as I, you know, just on another part, like collecting that as I've been using a cup and then putting it back into the earth, it's like a whole
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
it's really, really
But you
good.
know, you can the beauty of how cycle awareness being connected to your menstrual cycle as a whole is that it allows you to step into that the person that you are here to be.
Mm.
And it's a supportive structure to, you know, it's a framework to help support you to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, there's also a whole other realm to this that I've coined, and it's in winter you're in dream state.
That's how
You're in vision. You're
Mm.
that it's the most powerful phase of your cycle of who you are, because you're so the veil, if anyone knows that term, the veil is extremely thin, and we're more open and connected to the spirit world. And you know that energy is always there for us. The difference between somebody who is really really deeply connected and to someone that is still disconnected is the time that they create for themselves in that extremely potent time.
The time, and I think also the energy, because I know, you know, when I was disconnected, I would see my period or my bleed time as such a fucking hindrance, and like hating life, like negative as, you know, like, so when you're coming into that space and that energy gross, you know, like that is not supportive. It's unsupportive of your being, of your soul, of everything, of all elements of you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a visioning time, because obviously, you know, when things aren't in alignment and are really loud in autumn, you're going to get information about you're going to get visions about what the life that you want, what you see you want for your life. So coming into winter in that deeply connective state, you will receive those visions for what you're wanting to create. So that's when you take that time to connect with that.
Yeah.
And you allow that to just be. You don't like go and take action over here, because you know action is connected to the summer season of ovulation. And so yeah, winter is visioning. Spring is, I initially called it planning, but I don't really like that word anymore, so I've swapped it with mapping, because that feels better. Whatever feels good for you. So you know, map out that vision during spring. Have a big old brainstorm about it, and then start to implement some of those things and see what works best for you, with, you know, whatever the new habits that you're trying to create and all that kind of stuff. Experimentation with all of that is aligned. That's a gift. Those are gifts that are aligned to that season. And then take action in summer when you have a lot of that energy, and then you can come back down into autumn and reflect on that cycle.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Just like things, and I'm just like, yeah, there's just so much wisdom within our bodies, you know, like that It's just waiting for us to listen to feel into, to see and to follow.
It's extremely uncomfortable when you're stepping into this, because there is so much resistance, and you know, there's a lot of shame and stuff around it still to this day.
Yeah, and the conditioning and the programming that we have been raised to. Yeah, I just had a flashback then of high school, and like how in the toilets we had these, I don't know if you had them at school when you were at school, but they were like incinerators, and like
Yeah,
you'd roll your little pad up and you'd pop it in the incinerator. Like,
yeah,
great.
I forgot about that.
No, also just, just that whole, I mean, yeah. And like even then at my young like age as a teenager, I was like, this is gross and it's actually not nice. Like to burn like, the the contents of my body, up this thing, and for it to be floating around the school. Like, like because the chimney's above the school, and then it's like, I don't know, flinging around the fucking high school, like I don't, it just didn't sit well with me then, and that would have just literally been my intuition being like, oh,
this is not right. It doesn't feel right.
yeah. And then like when I learn things and read resources, such as the stuff that Ngahuia writes, I'm like, yeah, so far from like my tupuna practices in this space, like no wonder I felt wrong. But yeah, I mean, that is a part and parcel of these bigger systems that we have lived in our lives, and then obviously coming into awareness, you discern better, and you're like, actually, yeah, that's not something I choose to prescribe to, or a practice I believe in, so I'm gonna do this. Yeah. And yeah. Oh, just so much knowledge, like just in this short window. And there's so many elements to this. This is like cycle awareness is just one part of the beautiful mahi that you do. And, even in your current haputanga, like there's also seasons within that space. And I feel like that's another kōrero. Like I think we should do that kōrero. We definitely need to have that kōrero about.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because hapu mama or wahine that are considering hapu, becoming hapu, but having babies, it's a beautiful piece of knowledge that I haven't really heard much about until you started talking about it. So, and empowering again to like have that information, that knowledge for hapu mama. I guess like have you there's just so much we could talk about, but if there's one thing that you want, like anyone listening, watching, seeing, hearing, feeling this kōrero today, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, like if there's one thing, I mean, I don't know if you can drill it down to one thing, but if there's one specific thing that you want whoever's listening to this kōrero take away from this kōrero, what would that be and why?
If you're feeling disconnected from any part of your life, step into these spaces more. Start learning about this stuff, and I've got a free ebook. It's in my bio link. I've got a cyclical eating plus movement guide that's coming out. It's going to be available for like the price of a coffee. And it's also got recipes in there as well. But yeah, just get to know start tracking your cycles. Start from day one when you get your next bleed. If you're not experiencing a period, start asking questions as to why. Start delving into why that is. And like there's a free bloody no pun intended. there's a free call link in my bio also.
Yes.
To work through that. So that's a half an hour call. And yeah, get to start from day one when you bleed.
I mean, this is what like you could literally just draw a box, put 30 things in it, and then start tracking it that way. But this is like this is what I've used, like this is why I've used your planner, because it's like literally what you have in it, but you have a lot of other beautiful things in it too. Like information, advice, just reiterating what you share about in your Empowered Cycles ebook, which you've also run as a course and as a programming, which you know, I don't know if you still offer that. If you do, anyway. But yeah, I mean, and but also what it, you know, created doing this is it's a regular cycle. And so like I've done my little tabs down the side here because it's 6 months of it, and it just helps me. And like literally what I do, just that's just my own sort of thing. And what I actually do is go back through them. Like this is another one. This is my one before this. And I look at the cycles and see, because my days differ. I write down my symptoms and I can see there's themes and stuff happening. And I also consider what I've done and what I was doing at that time in my life and how my body reacts during those times. And also like literally what it's doing, like what it recently when I like yesterday and this morning when I looked at it and read through it, I was like, I really need to take some serious action around what I'm prioritizing in my life, because the planner is showing the stuff that I'm not. And and that's the beauty of coming into awareness of your cycles, 2, tracking your cycles, and 3, being proactive in the space, because it helps us to change our lives, really, like do things differently. If you want a different outcome, you got to do things differently. It's just,
and I'll just say on that as well, that's something that I that is really strong for me, is how much it can change your life if you're self-committed. If you're self-committed to who you are. Basically.
And I wanted to say on that as well, this is what we were talking about earlier too, was that, and this is a discovery of mine as I'm in my inner reflective autumn season currently, is the things that are important to me, which for me, hauora, well-being, oranga, it's really important for me. But however, my practices in this space aren't truly aligning to that value that I hold for myself. So one of the things that I have identified through this season, you know, is also the tracking of my cycles and actually being more proactive in that space. And not just giving 5 minutes at the end of every week or every fortnight to reflect on that. Like that's something that I need to be looking at and understanding more about myself, because I know that my sleep habits have been affected, which affects my kai habits, which affects me as a person. So my cycle, when I look back thoroughly through these entries, I will be able to see like the knowledge and information that's in there is huge, and it will help me to inform changes in my life, which is exciting and awesome. Oh my God. But
it's data. It's data about our own self, about our own body. It's not anyone else's fucking
anything to
it's not anyone else's opinion. It's not anyone else's quote unquote expertise. It's literally information about your body, so that you can, it's body literacy, so that you can gather this information about your own body, so that you can feel empowered to make the changes that your own body is being asked to make. And body doesn't just mean your your tinana, like your physicality. It means your fucking entire being.
Oh, I love that whole situation that you just spoke directly to my heart. Yeah, it's body literacy, so you can feel empowered to make the choices that you need to for yourself. I can't remember the rest of it, but it's because I was just like, oh my God, yes. And also as you were, before you said that, I'm like, body literacy, yeah. And because intuitively I already know what this planet's telling me that I need to do. Like, I don't even need to read it because I know what I need to do to make the changes. And because it comes back to me, it's just me holding myself in this pattern. And so I need to, yeah, address that and release that. And I will do some work around that, as well as release that in my next cycle, because this, you know, who I'm calling myself to be in this next phase and season of my life requires me to make these changes.
Yeah.
And I've just proclaimed it on a podcast, which will be on YouTube out in the universe, so I cannot backtrack. Oh fuck.
Just choke it up.
Just clear it out, get it out. It's out there,
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to shout out to you big time, because I know how much fucking tug and pull there is within your being, of, you know, being radical and claiming these things for yourself, and to, I know that I know deeply intuitively that this has been a really tough thing for you to step into, even doing this podcast with me, because it requires you to be accountable and to show up and to actually move in this direction. And I did that intentionally. I put this out to you intentionally, you know, because I know that you can do it. And yeah.
And who we are doing it.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, even in this, you know, I think we started talking about thing like mahi that we're working on together.
Yeah.
Maybe like last month, but it feels like last year. I know some of the things that have manifested now we were talking about last year, like early last year.
Yeah.
But even just the kōrero we've had in December, like, I feel like timelines have just collapsed massively. Like, we're different people, we've done so many things, like, yeah. So I mean, shout out to you for, like, following that intuitive hit and leaning into our connection, and I guess, like, calling me to action, because from that, like, I've just, you know, as a matter of my own evolution, like, I've taken steps and done so many things, and I feel like a fucking different person, you know, like, from a month ago. So whilst the, you know, cycle awareness, I guess, has been the vehicle and the key thing connecting us, just the continued, like, understanding and spaces that I delve into, and because we're connected, we continue to connect in that space too. It's opened up a whole world, really. And I guess this is the beautiful tracking cycle, having cycle awareness, conscious menstruality, is that it has the same effects for you. It can do, open up your world, because I don't know how it can't, because you're delving into yourself in this way. In this way, as I hold my hands over my womb. Yeah.
Well, yeah, 100% right, because what it actually does is everything that is not true crumbles, including people, places,
Yes. Yep, I know.
and it aligns you with the people and places and things that you're meant to be in alignment with. Because when you're connected to your compass, your inner world, there's no, it's like who you used to be is like, what the fuck, it's
yeah. When you're connected to your compass, any delineation away from that pathway becomes the resistant pathway, as opposed to being off the pathway, being off against your own against your own inner compass, and that feeling like the norm. Actually, when you're actually on it, anything else off it, outside it, and this was tested to me yesterday when I tested something, and then it was like, and then I was like, for a split second, I just heard no, and then I was like, no, actually, no, not going to do that. And I caught it in the moment. Like a week ago, I probably would have just straight into that, and I just didn't, because I knew what would happen. I knew what would happen. That's not my pathway, sis. Keep going this way. Yeah.
It's I was gonna say something really good then and now. It's not even there. But I don't know. It's gone.
Okay. No, I feel like there's been a lot of kōrero, a lot of well, I know I've taken like so many learnings from this conversations on this kōrero, and I hadn't planned to, like, I guess, well, share like what a lot of the things, but they were meant to be talked about because we talked about them. And I think clearly the intention of this kōrero was about creating that awareness about our innate wisdom and our innate way of living, and the Infradian cycle, and how that links us so much back into ourselves and the power within that knowledge. And I feel like we've shared a lot about that and talked a lot about that. And I think too, just, a call to action if you're listening or you're watching, and that you, like, as Kayla said, if there's one thing that she would want anyone listening or watching to take away from this kōrero, is that if you are disconnected, or if you're feeling disconnected in any way, is like, this is your sign to, connect back in, like start tracking your cycles, draw up a piece of paper, or just start in a journal, or just start wherever you are, like, doing that. There's also her ebook, which is free, and it's in her profile, in her Instagram profile, that you can download, and there's a beautiful resource there to get you started. There's even journal prompts, if you're pre-bleed, like if you're in your autumn, beautiful time to start journaling. And or if you're in your ovulation phase, I mean, be one with that summer energy, sis, and live it up, because it's actually a energy. As a spring, I find spring really nice too. It's a nice ease into that high energy space. They just all have their own gifts, I feel. And the more I learn, the more I listen, and the more I follow those intuitive
rhythms,
the just more I step into my self, I've never literally felt more comfortable, or more authentic, more me in my life than I do right in this moment. And I know I know, you know, it's a lot of it is to do with reconnecting into my body, which has been around the knowledge that I have learnt and practices that I have embodied and undertaken in line with that.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yes, thank
Yes,
you.
those are oh, you're welcome. Yeah, those are extremely important foundations. The education aspect, being able to embrace who you are, whether you fucking don't like it or you love it, you know, it's learning to embrace all of who you are and who you have been, and that acceptance piece, and then coming through to that embodiment and empowerment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's how we like change the world.
It is, and it starts within.
Yeah.
And it always comes back.
Shall we announce? This is like, I just want to say that this is part 1.
Yeah, this is part 1 of, we don't know how many parts, but this is part 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
but,
did you want to talk about
yeah, so I've put together a cool little gift for one person who is tuning into this. So we'll have to, yeah, that's a side note, we'll have to monitor this, but yeah, I'm going to be giving away a menstrual cup, a moon, I think, a moon cycle tea. I can't remember what it's called, but these are from Wa Collective. Wa Collective is currently closed now, so I actually brought 2 of these packs that I want to gift one to somebody who is listening and finds this, but also it will be, you'll get a planner as well, so a 6-month menstrual cycle planner to get you started and on your way.
One of your planners, obviously,
yeah, the wellness planner. There'll be some other goodies in there. You will also be able to work with me for a entire cycle. So I'm also offering that as part of this package, and it will come all in this cute little box that I've got here. And yeah.
And what, like, I guess, like, monetary value, what would that price be? Because that's a lot of, like, you know, when you think about money value, that's not a lot. Invaluable, but
yeah. How much was, so working with me,
about $300 or something?
Maybe close to like the $400 mark.
400. Okay, cool. Well, that's beautiful. Yeah. $500. Yeah. So, and the details about how you can win this particular pack is actually going to be on yours and mine stories, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because in order to win it, there needs to be elements shared with us. From key areas in this conversation, in this YouTube and this podcast. So, and how long is the competition going to be open for? Because people that are listening might be like listening to it in a month or 2, or.
Yes, good point. So wait, what's the date today?
The date today is the 14th of January.
So let's go. Well, we will allow actually for time for this to be uploaded. So should we just go 14th of Feb? Oh, Valentine's Day.
Oh, I love yes, let's do that. A Valentine's Day giveaway. Far out.
Yeah.
Love back to self. So divine.
Yes. let's like change this narrative of fucking Valentine's Day.
That's 100% right.
Mm.
This will be your little gift of love for yourself. Oh my God, I want to win this pack. Can I enter?
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like I've got some goodies that I'm gonna just put into that pack too, and we can just fill it full of all these beautiful things. I
Yes,
think.
because we're all about that life. Yes.
Yeah, all about this life.
Yeah.
You're gonna be loved up on yourself. You're not gonna know what's happening, but you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Thank you for
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
holding this space for me, actually.
Oh, and thank you for holding space for me, honestly. Like
Mm.
yeah, there's just so much in this. And part one, this is part one. Let me just say, let us just say that part one.
Yep, part one. Stay tuned for part 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, okay. Well, should we bring our kōrero to conclusion?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning
Watching, listening,
feeling, tasting all the things. Smelling, if that's a possibility, whatever. I actually smell really good anyway, but
love
that's
that
weird.
for you.
And yeah, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for spending time for yourself and listening along. And we look forward to connecting more with you. All our how you can connect with us is at in the description in this video or on
in the show notes.
Yeah.
Make sure you share this with your friends and whānau. Come and have a conversation with us on our stories and in our comments, and we love all of that. We are creating a community.
Creating a community, yeah, is big for us. So please do. I encourage that. Love to hear from you.
Yes, I'm very open and receptive to this.
Ngā mihi, ngā mihi, ngā mihi. Till next time. Ka kite.
Ka kite.